Hey everyone, and welcome back to Remember This Tech. We're going to be testing the last Intel i3 CPU that was ever made. Well, don't know if they're going to change that, but and bring it back later. But they drifted away from the i3 naming scheme, and we're testing it here on none other than this Asus, this Strix board. This B660 motherboard, socket LGA 1700 that I rescued in a video here. And we're going to test it out and pair it with a RTX 3050. So we're going to show you some benchmarks and see how it fares. And if you're into DDR4, then there's plenty of support for these boards, especially in today's day and age when DDR5 is through the roof, of course, still. And maybe you want to get by with an entry-level i3, and we're going to see how this iconic chip fares with 4 cores and 8 threads in 2026. And maybe it might be the entry-level gaming system for you. In a world where prices are insane, this might get you by. Come on, let's go! Red Dead Redemption 2 actually ran better than expected for a low preset. The averages stayed solid in the 1%, lows were surprisingly stable. Even the 0.1% lows didn't tank too hard, which kept the gameplay smooth. For a 3050, this is a respectable showing in a notorious heavy title, even while paired with the 14100F i3. Cyberpunk is always a tough test, but the 14100F and the RTX 3050 held together well. The averages stayed in the mid-60s, and while the 1% lows dipped, the frame pacing stayed consistent enough to keep the game playable. This hardware combo definitely punches above its weight here. Borderlands 4 was one of the more demanding titles in this lineup. The averages stayed in the mid-40s and the lows dipped into the 20s, but gameplay remained responsive. This is one of those games where DLSS really helps the 3050 stay afloat. GTA 5 Legacy absolutely flies on this system. The averages were well above 120 FPS, and even the 1% low stayed strong. This is a perfect example of how well the 14100F and the 3050 paired together in older titles. Even at 1440p, GTA 5 stayed smooth and responsive. The averages stayed high, and the lows didn't drop enough to hurt gameplay. This hardware combo handles this game effortlessly. Fortnite at 1080p ran great overall. The averages were strong and the 1% lows stayed playable. The only oddity was the 0.1% lows dipping hard, which is typical for Fortnite's engine during loading spikes. At 1440p, Fortnite actually performed better than expected. The averages climbed into the 90s and the lows stayed playable. DLSS performance mode really helps the 3050 stretch its legs here. Skyrim Remastered is capped at 60 FPS, so the numbers look pretty identical at 1080p and 1440p. The only difference is the 0.1% low is dipping during cell transitions, which is normal for this engine. And at 1440p, Skyrim stayed pinned at the 60 FPS cap almost the entire time. The lows were smoother than the 1080p run because the GPU had more work to do, which is actually improving the frame pacing in older Bethesda titles. ASRock's 1440p was one of the heavier games in this test. The averages stayed in the mid-50s, the lows dipped to the 20s, but the gameplay remained manageable. DLSS Auto kept things stable enough for a smooth experience. So my final thoughts. Overall, the i3, the last i3, the 14100F, and the RTX 3050 make a surprisingly capable budget system. Now, that was the whole goal for this video. Testing out this capable pairing to see if you can use it as an entry-level foot in the door into 1080p gaming. Especially in lighter and older titles, this system delivers excellent performance, and even in heavier modern games, DLSS keeps things smooth and playable. This build has a great balance between cost, efficiency, and real-world gaming performance. If you're aiming for affordable 1080p combo system, this will get your foot in the door and get the job done. Now, not only that, the LGA 1700 chipset will let you upgrade. It has a great upgrade path. Yeah, you have an entry-level i3 that's capable, but then you can go to an i5 or an i7 or an i9, and you're going to be good for years to come. Even then, that board that I featured can handle, a higher end graphics card, just the CPU's limiter currently. So, it's a good basis still. And not only that, but DDR4, that's what it can use on this board, but the chip can also support DDR5. If you want to, in the future, you might go the AM5 route and then go with the 9000 series chip if you're going to migrate to the DDR5 platform. But that's just my thoughts off the top of the head. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hype it, because it helps small channel creators like me get noticed in the YouTube algorithm. And I also put a bunch of the stuff that I pieces and parts that I used in the build today in the description section below in case you want to check it out. So thanks for watching. Remember this tech.